You think success is about working harder than everyone else. You think the win goes to the one who hustles the longest, sacrifices the most, and refuses to rest. You think if you just grind a little more, the breakthrough will finally arrive. But you're wrong. The truth is older than any self-help book, older than any seminar, older than any motivational stage, and it lives in three places at once: in the scriptures, in the quiet mechanics of your own mind, and in the unshakable expectation of those who win before they ever begin. There is a silent force operating beneath your awareness right now. It is invisible, it never sleeps. It decides what you reach for and what you flinch away from, what feels possible and what feels foreign. The masters knew it, the prophets walked in it, and almost no one alive today has learned to command it. I call it the expectation field, and once you understand it, nothing in your life stays the same. Hear this and let it cut deep. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your expectations. You do not get what you want. You get what you secretly believe you deserve. And here is the warning. The person who refuses to train this force will sabotage every blessing the moment it arrives. They will reach the edge of victory and pull back. They will pray for the door and run from the doorway. They will call it bad luck. It was never bad luck. It was an untrained mind expecting to lose. So I ask you, and do not answer too quickly, what have you been quietly expecting from your own life? Hold that question. We are about to break it wide open. Listen closely, because what I am about to share with you is not a trick of positive thinking. It is not a slogan you tape to your mirror and forget by lunch. It is a spiritual law, woven into the fabric of creation, confirmed by scripture, echoed by the greatest mind of personal achievement who ever wrote, and now being uncovered, piece by piece, by the study of the human brain. The theme of everything you will hear today is simple, and it is this: faith and mindset are not two separate things. They are one current flowing through one channel. When your faith decides what is coming, your mind builds the road to meet it. And when your mind expects defeat, even your faith cannot drag you across a bridge you refuse to walk. The book of Hebrews gives us the foundation. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Read that slowly. Faith is called substance. It is not a wish. It is not a feeling that floats away when the bills arrive. It is substance, the raw material, the building block of the unseen becoming seen. And notice the word evidence. Faith is described as evidence of what has not yet appeared. That means the man of faith holds the proof before the proof shows up. He walks in the expectation of the win while the loss still surrounds him. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying the most successful people of his era, and he arrived at the same conclusion the scriptures had declared centuries before. Napoleon said that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But notice the hidden hinge in that sentence. It is not enough to conceive. You must believe. Conceiving is imagining the win. Believing is expecting the win. And the gap between those two is where most lives quietly fall apart. So let me ask you to be honest with yourself in the privacy of your own heart. When you picture the thing you want, can you also expect it? Or does a quiet voice rise up and whisper, "Not for you, not now, not someone like you"? That whisper is not the truth. That whisper is a program. And every program can be rewritten. If you feel something stirring already, do this. Right now in the comments, write these 4 words. I expect the win. Do not scroll past this. That small act is not for me. It is a declaration to your own subconscious that a new season has begun. Write it and let your spirit hear you say it. Let us go deeper into this silent force, the expectation field, because you cannot command what you do not understand. Your mind has 2 layers. There is the surface mind, the part reading, reasoning, deciding what to do next. And beneath it runs the deep mind, the subconscious, the part that controls your habits, your reactions, your reflexes, the racing of your heart, and the quiet beliefs you never chose out loud, but live by every single day. Napoleon Hill described the subconscious as the most fertile ground in the universe. He said that the subconscious mind will act upon any thought or idea that is mixed with feeling or emotion and repeated often enough. It does not argue. It does not judge whether the seed is good or poison. It simply grows what you plant. Plant fear, and it grows fear. Plant the expectation of loss, and it grows the loss. Plant the unwavering expectation of the win, and it begins, silently, to build a life that matches. And the scriptures said this long before any psychologist drew a diagram of the brain. In Proverbs it is written, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Not as he speaks with his lips, not as he posts for the world to see. As he thinks in his heart, in the deep hidden secret place, so is he." Your outer life is not random. It is an honest report of what your heart has been expecting. Stay with me here, because this is the moment most people miss. The subconscious cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is vividly emotionally imagined. This is why a memory can make you cry years after the event. This is why a fear of something that never happened can flood your body with dread. The deep mind responds to the image and the emotion, not to the calendar, not to the facts. And this is the doorway. If you can hold an image of the win, charged with real feeling, and return to it again and again, the deep mind accepts it as your reality and begins to organize your thoughts, your instincts, and your decisions to make it so. Jesus spoke this principle in its purest form. He said, "Whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you will have them." Look at the order of those words. Believe that you receive them. The receiving comes first in the believing, before the having shows up in the world. This is expectation as a spiritual act. This is the win held in the heart before it is held in the hand. Take a breath now and reflect. Think of one area of your life where you have been bracing for disappointment. Maybe it is your finances. Maybe it is a relationship. Maybe it is your health, your calling, your purpose. Notice how it feels in your body to expect the loss there. That tightness, that bracing, that quiet surrender. Now imagine just for a moment what it would feel like to expect the win in that exact place. Notice how different it feels. That difference is the expectation field shifting, and it is the beginning of everything. Here is something you must understand about why this matters so much. Your expectations do not simply describe your future, they build it, because expectation drives attention, attention drives action, and action drives outcome. The man who expects to win notices the open door. The man who expects to lose walks right past it because his mind was never scanning for doors. It was scanning for proof that he was right to give up. Napoleon Hill wrote about this with a phrase that has echoed for nearly a century. He said that our only limitations are those we set up in our own minds. Read that again. Our only limitations. He did not say most of our limitations. He said our only ones. The wall you keep hitting is, more often than you want to admit, a wall you have been expecting to hit. And the heartbreaking part is this. You will always find what you expect. If you expect betrayal, you will interpret every neutral act as betrayal. If you expect lack, you will overlook every chance for increase. The expectation field is not just a window, it is a filter. It decides what you are even able to see. The scriptures warned of this in the story of the spies who went into the promised land. 12 men saw the same land, the same fruit, the same giants. 10 of them said, "We are not able. We were like grasshoppers in our own sight." And note those words carefully. In our own sight. They lost the battle inside before a single sword was drawn. 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, saw the same giants and said, "We are well able to overcome it." Same land, same giants. 2 completely different expectations. And here is the verdict that should shake you awake. The 10 who expected to lose never entered the land. The 2 who expected to win walked in. Your expectation does not just shape your effort, it can decide your entire destiny. So reflect on this. In how many rooms have you already declared yourself a grasshopper before anyone said a word? How many opportunities have you grieved before they were even lost? The giants are not your problem. The eyes you bring to the giants are your problem. If this is reaching the place in you that has been waiting to hear it, take one moment and like this video. I know it sounds small, but that simple act tells the deep places of your mind that you are worth investing in, that this message is for you, that you are not just passing through but participating, and it helps this word reach another soul who is bracing for the loss and needs to learn how to expect the win. Do it now, and let us continue. Let us talk about where these losing expectations come from, because you were not born with them. A child does not expect to fail. Watch a child learning to walk. They fall and fall and fall, and there is not a single thought of giving up, not one whisper of "I am not the kind of person who walks." They simply expect to walk, and so they rise again. The expectation of failure is learned. It is downloaded from words spoken over you, from disappointments you decided meant something about you, from 100 small moments where you concluded quietly that the win belongs to others and not to you. Napoleon Hill called the gathering of these limiting beliefs the result of negative environmental influence, and he warned that the subconscious mind absorbs them without our permission unless we deliberately guard the gate. He said that you must encourage the positive emotions as dominating forces of your mind and discourage and eliminate the negative emotions. The word he used was discipline, not hope, not waiting. Discipline. The deliberate daily guarding of what you allow to take root, and the scriptures command the very same guarding. In Proverbs it says, "Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow the issues of life." Keep your heart, guard it. Stand watch over it like a soldier at the gate of a city, because everything that flows into your outer life first flowed out of that inner place. You would not let a thief walk into your home and take what is precious. But how often have you let the thief of low expectation walk straight into your heart and rob you of the future God prepared for you? Here is the truth that sets the captive free. The fact that these expectations were learned means they can be unlearned. The fact that they were programmed means they can be reprogrammed. You are not stuck with the mind you inherited. You were given the authority to renew it. The Apostle Paul wrote, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Transformed. The Greek word there is the root of the word metamorphosis, the same total change a caterpillar undergoes to become something that flies. Your mind is not meant to be managed, it is meant to be transformed. And the renewing of the mind is exactly the work of training it to expect the win. So sit with this question. What were you taught to expect that you never chose to expect? Whose voice is it really when the doubt rises up? Because the moment you realize the losing expectation was never yours to begin with, you gain the power to hand it back and choose a new one. Now I want to show you the most dangerous moment in any person's journey, because this is where the untrained mind destroys what faith has built. It is the moment the win begins to arrive. You would think this is the easy part. It is not. It is the hardest. Because when blessing comes to a person whose deep mind still expects loss, that person becomes deeply uncomfortable. The good thing does not match their inner picture, and the subconscious is desperate to make the outer world match the inner world. So they begin, without knowing it, to push the blessing away. They self-sabotage. They start the argument that ends the relationship. They overspend the money that was meant to set them free. They show up late to the opportunity they prayed for. They snatch defeat from the very jaws of victory, and then they say, "See, it always falls apart for me." It did not fall apart. They pulled it apart to protect a self-image of losing. Napoleon Hill observed this in the people he studied, and he taught that you must build the self-image of success before the success arrives, or you will not be able to hold what comes to you. He said that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, but he understood that the believing is also a becoming. You must become, on the inside, the kind of person to whom this win belongs. Otherwise, the win will feel like a borrowed coat that never fit, and you will take it off the first chance you get. The scriptures show us this in the people of Israel after they were freed from slavery. They were delivered. The sea parted. The chains fell off. And yet again and again they wanted to go back to Egypt, back to slavery. Why would a freed people long for their chains? Because their bodies were free, but their expectations were still enslaved. They had been delivered from bondage, but bondage had not yet been delivered from them. And so a journey that should have taken days stretched into 40 years, not because God was slow, but because their minds could not hold the size of the promise. Hear me, because this is for someone. The reason you keep returning to the same struggle is not that God has not opened the door. It is that your expectation keeps walking you back through it. The win has come for you before, and you let it slip, because deep down, you did not yet believe you were the kind of person who wins. That changes today. Take a breath and reflect on this honestly. Where in your life have you sabotaged a good thing the moment it arrived? Do not condemn yourself. Just see it. Because you cannot heal what you will not look at. And the very fact that you can see it now means you have already begun to outgrow it. I want you to understand the mechanics of this, because understanding breaks the power of the pattern. Inside your deep mind there is a setting, a kind of internal thermostat for how much good you will allow yourself to experience. You have one for money, you have one for love, you have one for peace, for health, for success. And just like a thermostat in a room, the moment your life rises above the setting, your subconscious goes to work to cool things back down to where it believes you belong. This is why people who win the lottery so often end up broke again within a few years. The money changed, the setting did not, and the setting always wins unless you change the setting itself. Napoleon Hill called this the importance of a definite self-conception, and he insisted that you must hold the picture of the prosperous, victorious self with such consistency and emotion that the subconscious accepts it as the new normal. He taught the practice of auto-suggestion, the deliberate, repeated, emotionally charged feeding of new beliefs into the deep mind, precisely so that the inner thermostat would be reset to a higher place. You are not trying to force the world to change. You are raising the setting so the world is allowed to. And here is where the scriptures meet this with breathtaking precision. Jesus said, "It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." The kingdom, not the crumbs, not the minimum to survive. The kingdom. The problem was never God's willingness to give. The problem is our willingness to receive. Many of us have a setting that permits us only to survive, and the abundance of God keeps overflowing a cup we have unconsciously kept small. The win is not waiting on heaven to release it. The win is waiting on you to expect it. So reflect. What is your current setting for the area you most want to change? Be honest. Not what you say you want, but what you quietly expect to be normal for someone like you. Because the moment you name the old setting, you can begin to raise it. If you are still here with me, still letting this work on you, then you are not the casual viewer. You are the one who came for transformation. So let me ask you to leave a comment right now and write the area you are choosing to raise. Just one word: money, love, peace, health, purpose. Write the word that names your battlefield, and as you write it, declare in your heart that the old setting ends today. That single act, that public agreement with your own future, sends a signal deeper than you know. Now we come to the part you can begin to practice tonight, because expectation is not just understood, it is built. And it is built the way every strong thing is built, by repetition, by emotion, and by consistency. Faith comes by hearing, the scriptures say, and hearing by the word. Notice it does not say faith comes by hearing once. It comes by hearing, present tense, ongoing again and again, until the truth wears a groove into the deep mind and becomes the path of least resistance. You are going to preach the win to yourself until your subconscious can no longer remember how to expect the loss. Let me give you the first practice, and I want you to do this, not just hear it. It is the practice of the spoken declaration. The scriptures say that death and life are in the power of the tongue. Your words are not describing your reality. They are commanding it. So you will choose your declarations with care and you will speak them with feeling, because the deep mind responds to emotion far more than to information. Speak these with me now, in your heart or with your voice, and mean them. I expect the win. I was made in the image of the one who finishes what he begins. The blessing that comes to me, I am able to hold. I do not shrink from good. I do not run from the open door. I expect to receive, because my Father takes pleasure in giving me the kingdom. Say it again, slower. I expect the win. Napoleon Hill taught that these affirmations must be repeated daily, and he was specific about the emotion. He said that mere reading of the words is of no consequence unless you mix emotion or feeling with your words. The deep mind does not respond to the dull recitation of a list. It responds to the trembling conviction of a man who has decided. So when you declare, do not whisper it like an apology. Declare it like an heir who has read the will, and knows what belongs to him. Now the second practice, and this is the one that reshapes the inner thermostat most powerfully. It is the practice of living in the end. This is the deliberate daily visualization of the win as already done. Not hoped for, not coming someday, done. You close your eyes and you do not picture yourself striving toward the thing. You picture yourself already in it, already healed, already free of the debt, already standing in the answered prayer. And here is the key that most people miss. You do not just see it, you feel the feeling you would feel if it were already true. The scriptures gave us the pattern in Abraham, the father of faith. God changed his name to Abraham, which means father of many nations, while the man was still childless and old. From that day forward, every time anyone spoke his name, they were speaking the end before the beginning had arrived. He lived in the end. He carried the expectation of the promise in the very sound of his own name. And it is written that he did not waver through unbelief, but was strengthened in faith, being fully persuaded that what God had promised, he was also able to perform. Fully persuaded. That is the language of expectation. That is a mind that has already accepted the win. So here is your guided practice for tonight, and I want you to take it seriously, because the hour before sleep is the most powerful hour you have. As Napoleon Hill taught, and as the wisdom of the scriptures confirms, the moments before sleep are when the conscious guard relaxes and the deep mind opens like soil ready for seed. Whatever you plant in that hour grows in the dark while you rest. Most people plant the news, the worry, the replay of the day's defeats. You will plant the win. Tonight before you sleep, turn off the noise. Lie still and breathe slow and deep until your body softens. Then bring to mind the one thing you most desire to see come true. And do not see it as far away. See it as here. See yourself living inside the answer. Look around inside that scene. What does it look like the day the prayer is fulfilled? Who is with you? What does your face feel like when it is at peace? Now hold the feeling, the gratitude, as though it is already done. The relief, the quiet joy of a person who has received. Stay in that feeling and let it carry you down into sleep. Do not get up and check your phone. Do not let the worry rush back in. Plant the win and fall asleep in the garden of it. The deep mind will keep working long after you have closed your eyes. Take this moment now to simply reflect, with your eyes soft, on what your nights have been planting. Because every night for years you have been programming the deep mind with something. And from this night forward, you choose the seed. Let me show you why the timing of this practice is not a small detail, but a sacred one. There is a state your mind passes through every single night, the doorway between waking and sleeping, and another every morning, the doorway between sleeping and waking. In these doorways, the gate to the deep mind stands open. The critical, doubting surface mind grows quiet, and whatever you hold in your awareness slips past the gatekeeper and is received by the subconscious as instruction. Napoleon Hill knew this. He wrote that the subconscious mind is most receptive in the drowsy state, and the wise have always known to guard the threshold of sleep. This is why the scriptures are filled with the language of the night. I will bless the Lord who has given me counsel, says the psalm. My heart also instructs me in the night seasons. The night seasons, the hours when the world is silent and the heart receives its deepest instruction. And again, when you lie down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lie down and your sleep will be sweet. The promise of peace is tied to the hour of sleep, because God knew that what a person carries into the night shapes what they carry out of it. So consider what you have been carrying across that threshold. If you have been falling asleep anxious, scrolling through other people's victories and your own fears, you have been handing the deep mind the command to manufacture more of the same. But the doorway works both ways. The same gate that received the worry will receive the win, if you choose to plant it there. You are not asking for a new power. You are learning to use on purpose a doorway you have been walking through unconsciously your entire life. Now I want to confront something that rises up in honest people when they hear all this. The voice that says, "This is just imagination. This is not real. I'm only fooling myself." Hear me carefully. You are not fooling yourself. You are choosing which truth to rehearse. Because the loss you have been expecting was also imagination. The defeat you rehearsed in your mind 1,000 times had not happened either. You were always imagining a future. You were just imagining the wrong one. Expectation is not optional. You will expect something. The only choice you have is whether you expect the win or the loss. There is no neutral. Napoleon Hill said that the subconscious mind makes no distinction between constructive and destructive thought impulses. It works with the material you feed it. So the question was never whether to use your imagination. You have been using it relentlessly. The question is whether you will finally aim it. The same faculty that built the prison can build the door. The same imagination that rehearsed the rejection can rehearse the embrace. You are not asked to lie to yourself. You are asked to stop lying to yourself about defeat and start telling yourself the truth about what God has promised. The scriptures say to think on these things, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is just, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good report. To think on them, to deliberately dwell on them. This is not denial, this is direction. You are not pretending the giants are not there. You are choosing, like Joshua and Caleb, to declare that you are well able, because the one who is with you is greater than the giants in front of you. Reflect for a moment. How many hours have you given freely to imagining the worst? And what would happen if you gave even a fraction of those hours to deliberately, vividly, emotionally imagining the win? You already have the skill. You have practiced it your whole life in the wrong direction. Today you simply turn the ship. There is something I need you to understand about the relationship between expectation and action, because I do not want you to hear any of this as an excuse to stop moving. The trained expectation does not replace your work. It transforms your work. The man who expects to win and the man who expects to lose may do the very same task, but they do it as two entirely different people. One acts from striving, from desperation, from the frantic energy of someone trying to force a door that he secretly believes is locked. The other acts from expectation, from peace, from the calm certainty of someone who knows the door is already opening and is simply walking toward it. Napoleon Hill called this the difference between a burning desire backed by faith and mere wishing backed by anxiety. He taught that faith is a state of mind that may be induced by autosuggestion, and that action taken in that state of faith carries a power that frantic effort never can. It is not the volume of your work that moves mountains. It is the frequency of the soul behind the work. Two men plant the same seed. One plants it expecting a harvest and tends it with patient joy. The other plants it expecting failure and digs it up every week to check if it is dead. Same seed, same soil. One walks in expectation and harvests. The other walks in doubt and starves. The scriptures put it plainly. Whatever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord. Heartily, from the heart, from the whole of you, from a soul aligned and at rest. The work done from expectation is the work that endures. Because it does not collapse the moment results are slow to come. The man of expectation knows the harvest follows the seed by a season, and he does not uproot his future in a panic. He waters, and he waits, and he expects. So examine your own striving. Have you been working from expectation or from fear? Because the same hours spent in fear exhaust you, and the same hours spent in expectation carry you. The difference is not in the doing. It is in the believing underneath the doing. I want to give you a vision of what changes when this becomes real in you, when the expectation field is no longer something you are fighting, but something you command. Your prayers change. You stop begging God for what He has already promised, and you begin to thank Him for what is already done. Your decisions change. You stop choosing from scarcity, grabbing at the small and safe, and you begin choosing from abundance, reaching for what you were actually made for. Your relationships change. You stop expecting betrayal and abandonment, and you stop unconsciously creating it. Your body even changes, because the chronic bracing of a person expecting disaster releases its grip, and peace begins to flow where tension used to live. Napoleon Hill wrote that the man who expects to win and conditions his mind accordingly develops what he called a magnetic quality, drawing to himself the people, the ideas, and the opportunities aligned with his expectation. He was not speaking of magic. He was describing what happens when a mind that expects the win begins to notice, pursue, and seize what a fearful mind would never have seen. You do not become lucky. You become awake to the doors that were always there. And the scriptures promise this with a tenderness that should bring you to tears. The Lord declares, "I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." A future and a hope, the very things expectation is made of. God himself holds an expectation over your life, and it is a good one. The tragedy of the untrained mind is that it argues with the very hope God is trying to give. From this day, you stop arguing. You agree with heaven about your future, and you expect the win, because the one who planned your days is fully able to fulfill them. We are coming now to the close, and I want you to take everything you have heard and let it settle into the deepest place in you. Because this is the truth I need you to carry out of this moment and into the rest of your life. You do not rise to the level of your hopes. You fall to the level of your expectations. And your expectations are not fixed. They are not your identity. They are a garden, and you are the one who decides what grows there. For too long you have let the weeds of fear and doubt and old disappointment grow wild, and then you wondered why your life kept producing the same bitter fruit. But a garden can be replanted. A mind can be renewed. A setting can be raised. And a soul that has spent years expecting the loss can be retrained season by season to expect the win. Hear the heart of all of it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And from the mind that studied the masters, the unshakable truth, that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. These are not four different teachings, they are one law spoken by four voices across the ages. The unseen becomes the seen through the expectation held in the heart. So I leave you with the question I asked at the beginning, the one that has been waiting for you this whole time. What if it actually works out? What if the very thing you have been bracing to lose is the thing you were always meant to win? What if the only thing standing between you and the life God prepared is not your effort, not your worthiness, not your circumstances, but the quiet, unexamined expectation that it could never happen for someone like you? What if you released that expectation tonight and dared, finally, to expect the win? Train your mind to expect the win. Plant it every night before you sleep. Speak it every morning before the world speaks its doubt over you. Guard the garden of your heart with all diligence, and walk not in striving, but in the calm and certain expectation of a son and a daughter of the Most High, for whom it is the Father's good pleasure to give the kingdom. Before you go, do this with me, because it matters more than you know. If this message reached the place in you that has been waiting, then leave a comment right now and write these words. From today, I expect the win. Let your own eyes see you declare it. Then like this video, so it can find the next soul who is bracing for the loss and has forgotten how to hope. And if you have not yet subscribed, subscribe now with intention, because every word that comes to you here will be another seed planted in the garden of your mind, another reminder of who you truly are, an heir, a victor, a soul made in the image of the one who finishes what he begins. And remember this, every night as you close your eyes, you do not attract what you chase, you attract what you expect. So expect the win. Lie down in peace, plant it in the dark, and let the unseen go to work while you rest. It is already being arranged. It is already on its way. Expect it, and it will come. In the right time, in the right way, with the quiet power of the one who never sleeps. So be it. It is done.